David is a singer-songwriter and instrumentalist, terrific musician, songwriter. And how's your festival going so far, David?
Good. Never been here before. This is a great place.
Never been to Whitefish?
I never have been to Whitefish.
It's a beautiful spot, isn't it?
Played in Red Lodge a few times.
Okay.
But this is his first time up here. This is gorgeous.
Okay.
My wife and I took the entire loop out all the way up into the park and back around. Anyone here afraid of heights? I'm not, maybe afraid is the wrong word. It makes me anxious. And so yesterday, by the time I got to my first round, I was just, it's beautiful if you can survive the anxiety.
It's a narrow old road, isn't it? It'll go into the sun.
A lot of traffic up there. Yeah, and I turned into the sun a couple of times, literally, and I was like, I can't see the road.
There's people that ride bikes up that, and
No.
while there's other traffic going on.
That ain't right.
I don't think this is a good idea.
Been there, done that. Thank you.
Where's home for you now, David?
I live in Cedar Edge, Colorado. How many people know where Cedar Edge is? Really?
Where is Cedar Edge?
Okay, how many people know where Grand Junction is?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, how about Montrose? Okay, so if you were on that road between Grand Junction and Montrose, you turn there at Delta, Colorado. We're up on the south side of Grand Mesa National Forest, which is, Grand Mesa is the largest flat-top mountain in the world.
Is that right? Okay.
300 lakes on top of it.
Pretty high altitude down there in Colorado, aren't you?
We live
6,000 feet?
Our house is 7,500 feet.
Yeah.
The backyard is 11,000 square feet. Feet above sea level.
Okay. Yeah. So we're actually comparatively low here in Whitefish. I don't know what Whitefish is, 3,000 or 4,000.
It's high enough on that road, let me tell you.
It's about 3 something. Yeah, so not as high as you'd think up here, but yeah. So you're down where the air's nice and thick.
Yeah. Right.
So is that where you're from originally?
I grew up in Arkansas, like Aaron.
That's right. You grew up in
Northwest
Arkansas.
in Fayetteville. Everybody knows where Fayetteville, Arkansas is. Yeah, there you go.
Is that the Walmart? Is that where Fayetteville
Walmart, Tyson Foods, now Colgate, Palmolive, everybody, J.D. Hunt Trucking, the whole thing.
Okay. Big industrial hub.
Well, when I was growing up there, those were little companies. They had just gone public. So it was this magical time to watch all these people get really rich.
Yeah.
But it's a beautiful part of the state. There's a lot happening there.
Did you grow up with music in the house?
I did. My older brother began taking guitar when I was about 9. And of course, he was the oldest, I was the second, and I really wanted to emulate what he was doing somehow. And I loved listening to music because he was playing Dave Clark 5 and all that stuff in the house, the Stones and the Beatles. And I saw the Beatles when I was a little kid on TV, and I thought, man, that's whatever that is cool.
Yeah.
So I started taking drum lessons and took for 6 months. And then one day just walked in and told my teacher I knew it, and I was good. Thanks. And I distinctly remember telling my 3rd grade teacher I didn't need to learn music, to read music, because I was going to be a drummer. You see how smart I am?
You were summarily kicked to the guitar class after that.
I taught myself guitar so I could sing with myself, And the only reason I became the singer was because I was the only one that owned a microphone.
Okay.
In the first band, they said, well, who's going to sing? I went, I have a mic. You're it.
So you were drumming and singing in your first group, garage band style?
I did that for many, many years, and a good late friend of mine and mentor, Levon Helm, used to come see us there in Fayetteville, and we'd go to the IHOP, and he'd give me advice about stuff, and so we had kind of a late night singing drummers club.
He was a pretty decent singing drummer, wasn't he?
He was one of the best, yeah. And it was I get it, because I saw a little clip recently. People always talk about it must be hard to sing and play drums. It was the most natural thing in the world, because those little things where you're punching a little line or a phrase or whatever, you can drive that home if you're the drummer.
Yeah.
Because you're driving the bus, isn't that right? Yeah.
Yeah. Any singers?
You ever use Greg Morrow on a session? Yeah, that's who you want.
So how did you get started writing songs then? When did that start for you?
Just like any teenage kid with lots of angst and stuff to say that may or may not have been important in the long run, but it was important at the time, so I would write things down. I would not want anyone here to hear one of my first songs, and I don't know where any of them are, and that's just as well.
Yeah.
I was drawn to music. I came to people like Bob Dylan really late because I didn't care for his singing voice. So the songs are important, but it was important to me to have a good singing voice. So I was drawn to the good singers, you know, guys that, the Southern California stuff, Eagles, Linda Ronstadt's stuff, Jackson Brown, J.D. Souther, that kind of thing. So I was more drawn to the singing part of it first, and then the lyrical part later.
Okay. When you're getting into a song, I know it changes for everybody every time you're approaching one. Do you tend to approach a song more melody first, or do you sort of have a concrete idea of a hook line, or how do you like to approach it if you can?
I'll take anything I can get. If it comes out of the sky, I'm going to write it down. I was thinking of so many things when you were talking to Aaron about. I don't write every day. I don't write every month. I write things on my phone every single day. I've done it twice this morning already. Something comes to you, you better write it down because it'll go away. But I'm lyrically driven.
Lyrically driven.
I don't have much of an ear for melody, and the melody just happens somehow.
Okay.
When I write with other people, there's some people I write with that are really good with melody, and I always follow their lead on that.
Yeah. Who do you listen to now? Who are you digging now that you're really impressed with, or maybe just somebody you always kind of looked up to and listened to?
I'm on kind of a Rodney Crowell jag, and I just went to his song camp in Nashville, which was a great experience. And his way with words, to me, I'm always trying to get better.
Yeah.
And listening to people like that, always been a Jackson Brown fan. Listened to a lot of podcasts, and I've been listening to Rick Rubin's book a lot about creativity in general. So just trying to fill my brain with good stuff and see what comes out.
What was that Rodney Crowell camp like? What was sort of the structure of that?
Well, Gretchen was there, Beth Nielsen Chapman, Peter Asher, Bill Payne, Little Feat, John Paul White. I'm going to forget somebody. But there were 120 participants. And when I got there, I thought, well, it'd be 30, 40 people. 120. Wow. And I was one of them. So there were people who had written their first song, and then people like me who've written a lot of songs, recorded a lot, and then there was Rodney and Beth Nielsen Chapman and Gretchen and Peter, people like that. We did an open mic for 120 people. That took from 5:30 on Monday until 9 o'clock Tuesday night. And we broke to sleep and eat. But as Rodney said, it was a slog, but it was very democratic because everybody got to get up there and do their song, whether it was good, bad, or indifferent. And some people were just terrified. And I get that, you know. But in the end, I got to sit with Rodney and play a song for him. I got to sit next to Peter Asher and have him tell me he liked the song. That's, in my wildest dreams, I've never thought that would happen. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, and in true songwriting fashion, as a songwriter, you are continuously and constantly on a journey, always hunting for the next song, always trying to find the next rhyme or the next lyric, going so far as to even enlist yourself in a camp, which this camp sounds incredible, by the way. I want to find out what camp that is so I can go to that camp next year.
Yeah, it's just Rodney Crowell's songwriting camp. It's called It Begins With a Song, or It All Begins With a Song. I forget exactly, but there were moments during that period of time that I thought, I've kind of done this stuff already. I've done this work. But you can always learn from the people around you. Yeah. And just when I thought I had it figured out, this young guy got up and did a song the last night we were there, right before I went on. And Rodney popped up out of his seat clapping before anybody else. And I thought, oh good, I get to follow that guy. But it was a fabulous song, and it was moving, and it was just perfect, So I got up there and did my thing and thought, well, I picked the wrong song to follow that with, but you just do what you do.
So, switching gears a little bit, I see you brought some material here. You've got a book that you've written.
I bought some.
You brought some props, which is always good to talk about. We'll get it back into the songwriting a little, and have you play a song a little bit later. But you've got a project here that you'd like to talk a little bit about.
Okay, so going back a few years, through friends of friends, I got to know John Oates pretty well, and we've done a lot of stuff together. And 2 albums now he's produced for me, and he's become a friend, and we play together some. And a few years ago, I read the final book that my grandfather wrote. He was an author when I was young, but I never read his books because I was young. We rode horses together. We did a lot of stuff. I was not particularly interested in reading his books. He was a columnist. Looking back, he was a famous guy in our part of the country. He wrote for the Tulsa World and, these big papers in the area. But I didn't read the books. So a few years ago, I read his last book, and was taken by all the people, the places, the situations, the drama, the tragedy, the mystery. All that stuff was in there, and I thought, there's songs in there, you know? And I also, it gave me an opportunity to get out of my own head with my songwriting, because sometimes I keep thinking, I gotta write about my own stuff. No, I don't. There's other stuff. There's stuff in the news, there's stuff in books. Anyway, so John and his wife took Cindy and I out to dinner on my birthday about 7 years ago, and I slid this old book, this is a reprint, but I slid this old book across the table, and he said, what's this? And I said, read that and call me. 2 days later he calls and he said, what do you want to do? And I said, let's give that to half a dozen songwriters, have everybody write songs inspired by it. And he said, ooh, and then we'll make a concept album. And I went, okay.
Wow.
So
incredible.
Yeah. So it was an incredible journey collaboratively, because I got to work with all these different songwriters, great session guys, all the people you know, Aaron, and then it came out the week before COVID came out. So it was going to be in all the Barnes and Noble stores. We shipped to all the stores and big vinyl stores, and then COVID.
Yeah.
I don't know where all of it went.
Really, they got shipped, but
I'm sure it's in a punch-out bin somewhere. But
okay. And so
and we reprinted the book.
Reprinted the book, and then how many songs did you put on the record here?
There are 11 on here and 10 on the vinyl, because you can only fit so many on the side.
Okay.
But yeah, it was Jim Lauderdale helped out on a song. I mean, it was a Wood Newton, Irene Kelly, those folks. Wow. So it was a great project.
Do you want to play a song off this record?
Yeah, let me. I brought my cheat sheet because I didn't know what I was going to do.
That's okay. We can do whatever.
Well,
do you want me to move this up here so you can set that?
Let's do that, just in case I lose my place. Sure. I hate having to use this, but you know what?
There it is.
I'd rather do it right than not do it. So.
That's right, since we came all the way here, made all this.
One of the things that came of this project, as well as getting some songs out of it, was that I feel like I got to know my grandfather a lot better, even though I knew him. There's a fair bit of tragedy in his life. He and his. First of all, I found out in this journey that he had a wife before my grandmother. I said, what? I didn't get to do that. Apparently they did that in the old days.
Plug in there. It's tuner pedal's just muted right now.
Yep. You mean the one I tripped over earlier?
Yes, sir. That one.
What am I doing wrong here?
You need some more volume?
Well, I'm not getting anything much.
Yeah, you're coming out.
All right. Okay, I just can't hear it here. So the original title of the album was "Of What Was, Nothing Is Left," which is the book title. But John, the engineer, changed that on me one day when they were mixing. So, but I'm gonna attempt to do this. It's got a lot of words. That's why I like to have it in front of me. But this song sort of speaks to the impermanence of things and a kid's loss of innocence.
Never hear that guitar, okay?
This house was a home when you came along. There was a rhyme, there was a reason, a place I belong. I knew just where I stood, those golden days were my own. Safe in the tall grass of the innocent seeds I had sown. Well, everything changed the day you crashed into my world. On a dust devil wind, a force of intention unfurled. My innocence shattered, my comfort and plans pushed aside. I let go of the reins, only along for Did you come here to teach me? Did you come here to learn? Did you set me on fire just to watch the place burn? Will you tell me it's all for the best? What was nothing is left. The want of a woman, the distraction of many a man. Is she angel or savior, or a spirit that's made of the winds? You broke all of the rules and all the good hearts in your way. I guess I shouldn't blame you for the part that you felt you had to play. Or did you come here to teach me? Did you come here to learn? Or did you set me on fire just to watch the place burn? Will you tell me it's all for the best? Nothing is left. Oh, the call of the wild, mother and child, nothing could stand in your way. No wow tomorrow, for all of the sorrow that would follow you all your day. What's done is done. We can't live in the past, and to hold back the sand on this soil is just too much to ask. Hey, these winds are relentless, demanding we change, blowing us on to our destiny, no matter. Did you come here to teach me? Did you come here to learn? Did you set me on fire just to watch the place burn? Yeah, will you tell me it's all for the best? What? Nothing is left. Hey, nothing is left. Did you come here to teach me? Did you come here to learn? Did you set me on fire just to watch the boy burn? Yeah, nothing is left. Nothing is left. Nothing is left.
Great song. Great song. Thank you very much for sharing that with us.
I've never done that this early in the morning.
So is that a co-write with John Oates? All
John-
those songs are.
Not all of them,
Okay.
but a great number of them. In this situation, what I would do is I would have a song, mostly what I thought was done, and then I would send it over to John, send him a little MP3 phone recording or whatever, and then a couple of days before we'd go in the studio, I'd go to his house and he'd say, here's what I've done, see what you think. Always he improved the song. What he brought to my songwriting was this pop sensibility. First of all, Hall & Oates is this one thing, but there's this whole other thing, which is John, which is his deep roots in the blues and the Mississippi John Hurt thing. And he would bring that pop thing, would be as simple as just making a change chord-wise, which would cause I always think of when I'm talking to people that don't know much about this stuff. They go, what do you mean? And I go, you know the RCA Victor dog that's got his head cocked like he's listening? It's that little thing in the song that makes the listener go, oh. You know, just makes you, it's what modulation does in a song. It's a key change or whatever, that kind of stuff. Whatever causes you to, oh, we're not done yet. There's something else to say here. So,
do you think that's one of the benefits of a co-write relationship is you're able to get an outside perspective and somebody else's?
I welcome it.
You like doing it, like co-writing?
I didn't think I would. I was one of those people that was real precious about my stuff. You know, though this is my feelings and all that. Well, you want to write a song or do you want to have therapy? I mean, you can do both, but you shouldn't be doing them with the, you know, it's not. And so, you know, a good example that this guitarist says "Rise Up Again." There was a song on this album that came of a dream that I had during a surgical thing in the middle of making this record. It was important to me, and I wrote this song. And by God, it was finished, and I sent it to John, and I said, this is sort of out of this project and out of this book, and we put it on the record, and he called me, and he said, I don't think it's done. And I said, well, that's my dream. And he said, well, I'm in it now. You know, I said, okay. So, and sure enough, he made it a better song. But you got to be open to that, and you can't say this couldn't possibly be any better. I wrote it. Well, maybe it can, you know.
Yeah.
Not always, but in his case, he's always made my songs better.
Yeah. Now, talking a little bit about where you live, where you choose to live personally. You know, the dichotomy of you know, somebody who lives in the center of the music business in either LA or one of these larger communities versus you living in a rural place. How does that inform your songwriting? Obviously, this is a conscious choice. This is one I've made as well, to live in a rural place and be a rural creator. How does that sort of inform your art? How do you think that involves everything?
Well, the choice was to be back out west after going back to Arkansas for a number of years to raise my daughter and all that. Once you've been out west, for me, it was hard to be anywhere else. Arkansas is great. I have family there. I go there all the time. And my wife and I bought a little place in Nashville a few years ago. It came available. A friend of a friend had it. And so I go down there, and we have a kind of a base of operations. But I run a guitar store, so I've always had this thing I'm passionate about, which is the guitar business, but it's also a bit of a ball and chain because it's a retail business. You know, you can't go away for 6 weeks and, you know, and expect this to be like you left it, probably, you know. I have a really good manager and all that. But how it informs my process, I've got a couple of songs that would standing on Main Street talking to somebody and they say something, I go, excuse me, write that down. Or I go in the coffee shop in the morning, and one of the things in that Rick Rubin book, and if you're creative at all or you want to know about the process, that's an interesting book, and I prefer the audio version because I drive a lot, but he talks about, let's say you're an author and you're stuck, or a songwriter, you're stuck somewhere and you're like, man, I don't know how to get past this next little bit. Sit in the coffee shop and just be aware. Somebody will say something. The universe will give you something. And there's this funny thing, I don't know if this has ever happened to you, Aaron, where you hear something and you think you heard something, but you know it isn't what they really said, but is there a phenomenon for that? Or
I think it happens a lot when you're writing and co-writing too.
I heard somebody say something on the radio the other day that wasn't at all what they said, but my brain heard something else. I thought, that's a great line. So I don't know if I made it up, if it's an auditory hallucination, it's the beginning of the end, I don't know.
But you're hunting for it.
You're open. Well, I think the key is you've got to be open to it. Yes, awareness. And when you're closed off and you're in a silo of some sort, you're going to miss the stuff. It's going to go right by you. It's like looking out a plane window. You can see a lot of cool stuff if you just look out the window. So it's a similar deal.
I appreciate your take on that. Closing out, we got writers in the room. We've got people that are maybe not writers yet, maybe just getting started or thinking about putting their thoughts down into song. What sort of advice would you pass on?
I just think if you have a good thought and you think, well, that'd be kind of cool if that was a song or a poem or a book title or whatever, write it down, because the chances are something will come by, a squirrel's going to run across in front of you and you're going to get, you know. I listened to, it was another Rick Rubin thing, but he was talking to John Mayer, John Mayer's a great guitar player. That's my take on him. Primarily because I'd like to be able to play that well, and I can't. But he said something that interested me. I'm not sure it's true for everybody, but he said, if you've got an idea and you think it's worth writing a song about, sit down and write it till you've finished a song. Now, he said, if it takes 3 days, do that. Well, most of us don't have 3 days. He may, probably does at this point. But I think you got to chase the idea until you're satisfied that you've got a full thought. You know, after I listened to that, I got on a plane to fly to Arkansas to see family, and then on to Nashville to mix and go to that song thing. And I thought, okay, I'm going to take that advice, and I started writing a song, and I finished it before I landed from Denver to Northwest Arkansas. Now, was it completely finished? No, but I had 3 verses of a bridge and a chorus. So that's enough to call it a song. Now we can edit and fine-tune it from there.
Yeah, and then you can edit out and edit it down and add to it. But getting the thing out is very important.
If you think it's a good idea, it probably is. So write it down.
That's great advice. Well, where are you playing today, David? I hate to put you on the spot 'cause I don't know where I'm playing today.
You know
either.
what?
Be fair.
I'm going to tell you here because I took a picture of the little thing. I am at the Great Northern Bar and Grill at 2:30, and then again at the Remington at 4. So
I'll be there with you at 2:30.
Oh yeah.
And how do we get a hold of you to get your music, to get your all your stuff?
DavidStarMusic.com on the internet, and that's on Facebook and Instagram as well. And you can buy stuff there. You can see where I'm playing and all that. And if you want to come learn where Cedar Edge, Colorado is, come there. I just invited Erin. My wife and I helped get a performing arts center started there about 5 years ago.
Awesome.
So I invite all these songwriters, and it's always interesting to me when I go to these things how many follow up. And I know Erin's going to, I can just tell. Arkansas. My wife's from Arkansas as well, so we get it. To the extent that you can get it.
Well, thank you very much. David Starr, everybody.
Thank you.